One of the greatest gifts that we all have as human beings is the ability to think, the ability to process, analyze, and to have that critical analysis of things and the world around us. But sometimes we often abuse that and then create this thing called overthinking. And trust me, it's one of the baddest things anybody can ever get. Now, overthinking in terms of definitions, we can throw it out there and post here with a bunch of definitions being thrown out here, but one of the most commonly used examples and definitions of overthinking is simply having the ability of thinking way too many thoughts and not having to be able to do too much action in the process. It's more thoughts and less action as opposed to having both of them perfectly balanced. And since we live in a world of social media, this state of overthinking basically hits on overdrive because of how much is being thrown at us on a day-to-day basis, from influencer photos and videos, from Instagram reels and YouTube videos like myself. By the way, like, comment, and subscribe if you're enjoying all this kind of stuff. All of that is stimulating our brains and kicking it to high gear because there's so many sensations coming at our faces, and at certain points we think too much about everything that's happening to us, where we just sit down there and we kind of like physically shut down, but mentally, oh, we're stuck up there for a good chunk or two. But of course, dramatizing overthinking isn't really what I'm trying to do here, because everybody at some point has done it. I'm guilty of this, put me on the stand, judge. I am guilty of this crime, but like I said, it's just something that's normal, so we just do it from time to time. But this video is probably for those that constantly are overthinking the process and kind of have never been able to sit down and do the work that they want to do and fulfill the passions that they want to fulfill. And so from here, we're going to give at least one key idea of not to overthink, because there's plenty out there that I'm sure a lot of us can throw in the comments down below, and we can have more of a discussion of later. But the key idea of not to overthink is really to just stop thinking. I know that sounds pretty dumb, but you're going to want to hear me out on that. You see, we have the ability to think, but those thoughts can also be transformed into actions. And most of the time when we overthink, we don't think of those thoughts and transform it into action. But every now and then when we do something like with muscle memory, we don't think about it. We just do what we need to do because we're just so used to doing the thing that we're used to doing, whether it's walking, sleeping, taking a shower, I hope so at least, and eating. All that is stuff that we don't overthink about because we're so used to doing it that we just stop thinking about it, and that's it. Like, we've learned the process, this is what we're gonna do, and that's it. Like, I'm breathing right now. Oh wait, never mind. Here's the fun fact: you can't say somebody that you're breathing, because now they're gonna think about breathing, and next thing you know, it's a manual thing for a good few seconds, and then it just back to subconscious. Just a little tidbit here before we move on. So now, as an example here, for those that are kind of lost and don't know exactly what I mean by not thinking as a means to combat overthinking, let's say you're busy writing a script on something for a video. You have this amazing video idea that you want to do because you want to be an aspiring content creator, and you really just want to kickstart everything, start your journey, your YouTube journey and all that. You know how to edit, or you at least know the basics of it. You know how to make titles and thumbnails, the basics of it all and things like that. And you're right there ready to write your first script. And the first thing you try to do is think about 20 different options on how to make your first video. Now that's overthinking, because you're sitting there with a blank sheet of paper and you don't know what to do with it. However, to combat that, you just basically start. All you have to do is just start. And that's what I mean by not thinking. Regardless of it being bad, regardless of how it looks in the end, it doesn't matter, because you can always polish that up after you were done doing what you wanted to do in the first place. For example, me, if I have a video idea, then I have to make sure that I just write it all down just to get it out of the way, because if I think too much about it, then I'm not going to be able to do it at all. Sure, there are going to be bumps on the road, like I've said, and there are going to be certain things that requires polish, but just the fact that I sat down for however long I needed to sit myself down for to get those videos ideas going, whether it's for this channel, other channels that I have and things like that, the fact that I did what I had to do, I didn't think about it, and I just started doing what I needed to do, that right there stops the concept of overthinking, because now you're just in a state of doing, and that's the biggest deterrent against overthinking. So when you do more and when you put yourself to do other things, regardless of what it ends up being, it could be like hobbies, for example, or even just doing like the dishes and just getting your mind that turn off and just doing something that needs to be done at that moment and just to get it out of the way, that in turn gets rid of all the overthinking and all of the overanalysis and critical thinking and prophetic vision in your mind of thinking, oh, if I do that YouTube video, is that actually gonna work or not? Well, will it fail? Will it succeed? Oh, but what if I do it this or do it? All of that does not matter in the end once you start, and once you do start, all of that will just naturally, allow itself to manifest and be the things that it needs to be. So essentially here, the lesson that I want you all to understand in regards to overthinking is start doing a little bit more in your life. Start doing a little bit more without so much having the need and the doubt of pushing 20 different thoughts in your brain for doing one simple task. Do the tasks that need to be done in the best way you know possible on how to do it. And once it's all done and the dust is settled, then you take a step back, then you reflect on it, and then you move on from there. You continue to polish up that work. You continue to make sure you tweak it along the way and improve on it. But the fact that you started and the fact that you didn't think twice to do it, now that, my friend, is going to take you so many miles ahead.